My name is Brenda, and this is History Coles Notes. So let's get started. Most people have heard of the term the Victorian Age when it comes to history, but what actually was it? Well, it started with one woman, Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria was born at Kensington Palace in London on May 24, 1819. Her father was Edward, Duke of Kent, who was the fourth son of King George III. Victoria's father soon passed away after her birth, and she became the heir to the throne after three of her uncles, who were ahead of her in the line of succession, all died, and they had no legitimate children who survived them. Victoria ascended to the throne at the age of 18 after the death of her uncle, King William IV. Now, I'm pretty sure that when this tiny little woman first sat down on that throne, that nobody could imagine what was going to follow. It was because of her that one of Britain's greatest eras came into being, with 1/4 of the total global population pledging allegiance just to her. Her time of rule was the era that was named for her, the Victorian Age. It is considered to be the time between 1820 to 1914, which corresponds with but doesn't exactly align with Victoria's reign. It was here where Britain acquired unprecedented world power and wealth. The Crown's reach started to extend across the globe due to its political stability and its revolutionary developments in the areas of transport and communications. So how did this all start? When 18-year-old Victoria took the throne in 1837, military victories over revolutionary forces and France had increased Britain's influence with their allies. But other pressures were brewing. A high level of rural unemployment drove people to cities. In the cities, horrendous living conditions put the archaic class-based system of politics under a huge strain. This caused conflict between those within that class structure, and that continued throughout Victoria's reign. Then came what was called the Hungry 40s. During the 1840s came year upon year of poor harvests. One of the most catastrophic of these, and well known, was the Irish famine, where over 1 million people died and approximately 2 million people emigrated to other countries. It was initially caused by a potato blight, but this famine was worsened by British government's policies of economic non-interference. While many people were starving and struggling to survive, others set forth a sweeping change through Britain. This was due to a revolutionary invention for communications, the electric telegraph. Next came the railway and steamship networks, which in combination with the telegraph resulted in Britain's economic success. For the next several decades, Britain saw an economic upswing that was never seen before. For the first time in history, population growth and economic expansion went hand in hand, which helped grow Britain's empire. Now, as the empire expanded, British soldiers fought in wars in almost every year of Victoria's reign. They scrambled to gain new colonies, and by 1901, the British Empire extended over approximately 1/5 of the Earth's land surface. This resulted in those within the empire having increased raw materials available to work with, and more food became available. With the people's quality of life starting to improve, creativity and inspiration followed. Newspapers and circulating libraries became more available to the public, and this inspired people like the great writer Charles Dickens, whose works was consumed in vast levels that was never seen like this before. London became one of the most important ports in the world, which made it a center for commerce and culture. It was also during this time that major advancements in science, technology, engineering, and medicine occurred, which started to change just how human life was perceived. Now, these huge advancements also resulted in a crisis of religious faith for many, but it was also during this time that the most church building and the creation of charitable organizations occurred. This was the biggest development in these areas since the Middle Ages. So what does this all have to do with Victoria? Victoria's reign is the second longest in history at 63 years and 7 months. It was during her reign that her name and legacy became synonymous with many of the positive things that occurred during these times. Creators flourished, social and political movements started, religion modernized some of their thinking, and political reform occurred. Because people's quality of life was improving, birth rates soared and mortality rates started to drop. For the first time in Britain's history, no major epidemics occurred due to the betterment of health and environmental standards, as well as advancements in nutrition and medicine. Inventions were created to make life easier, while generalized belief systems started to change with the publication of Charles Darwin's book, The Origin of the Species. It was because of Victoria and the influence of her progressive husband, Prince Albert, that Victoria was able to use her time on the throne to change Britain for the better, and she paved the way towards today's modern Britain. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell so you can join us for more History Coles notes. Be sure to check out all the other amazing content that we have on the Horrifying History channel, and be sure to follow us on social media. It is there that you'll be the very first to hear about what's coming up in the Horrifying History universe. You can find links to our social media in this show's notes. Thank you all for watching again today, and until next time.